sick. Chris should be joining us, shortly. Folks, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Folks, Ty, man, your coach is gone. He's retired. 7 championships in total, 6 at Alabama. In how many years? 15 years?
He was there
16?
17 years.
Oh my God, man.
I got some
crazy.
numbers for you.
Dude,
297 and 71 career record, 7 national championships, 11 SEC championship, 1 MAC championship, 5-time SEC Coach of the Year, 2-time Paul Bear Bryant Award winner, 2-time Walter Camp Coach of the Year, 2-time AP Coach of the Year. That's the GOAT.
And the partridge in a pear tree.
He's the GOAT. Hey, man, look, I want to, actually bring this up. I'm in Bama now, and people love to throw up the comparisons of Bear Bryant and Nick Saban. And I say, okay, I get it. Both of them, championship-wise, I get it. Nick Saban has had to coach in a much harder and competitive league and era than Bear Bryant ever had to coach in, folks. Look, folks, back in the day, the Southeastern Conference, which wasn't the Southeastern Conference back then, but you're having your best teams in the South. All the best players were not playing at white institutions, folks. You got guys like Jackie Slater and Walter Payton. They were going to HBCUs. Doug Williams, HBCU. So the best talent was not going to these white institutions. It took Bear Bryant to go up to USC and get his ass kicked by a bunch of black players to convince the AD to start letting Alabama bring black players onto that campus. And that's when you started to see some of the best talent in the South go to some of those white institutions. That's a little history lesson for you guys. But what Nick Saban has been doing, he's been playing against the best talent since day one and dominating the best talent since day one. 6 championships at Bama in 16 years, Ty? 16 years?
17
years.
Started in 2007, man.
Wow. So think about that for a minute, folks. That's a championship that's a championship more than every 3 years, right? So, so throw out that first year because he was 7-5 that first year. So let's just say 6 championships in 16 years, right? Of competitive ball. And every year since then, he's won 10 games, right, Ty? Every year has been 10 games plus.
Every year. Not one year he did not.
Every year.
Bananas.
Greatest college football coach of all time is not a question. He's the GOAT.
100%.
So to that, got a little Uncle Nearest in here, a little old fashioned. I'm gonna salute to the boy, man, to the GOAT, man.
Man, they had. It's crazy. I was actually, I talked about on stream the other day that I was taking a few days after I got back from Virginia this week to just take some time and get some stuff taken care of here. I'm in the middle of doing laundry, making my list of what all I need to do. And the way I found out was actually Bleacher Report texting me and being like, hey, Ty, it's so-and-so from BR. Would you come on a show right quick? And react to the news. And then after I saw that, go back and I see messages from Jay and PG and all these people saying Nick Saban had retired. And I can't tell y'all how many times I checked the handle of each account.
I did too.
And I was like, you sorry sacks aren't getting me today. But unfortunately, it was reality. And the whole time I'm on Bleacher Report, I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm just still kind of in the processing it phase. You know what I mean? Because when someone like this retires, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care whether you're an Alabama fan or not. Greatness only comes around so often. And we say things are great. We say moments are great. But true greatness, that doesn't come around often. I said this on Bleacher Report. Nick Sabans aren't grown on trees. We have had a few ever in college football, and one just retired. And so Bleacher Report asked me who wins, who loses. And I said, well, simultaneously, college football wins, because now if you're a team competing for a national championship, you don't got to go through Nick Saban anymore. And that has been the one constant of college football. They will contend. It's the one team that at the beginning of the year you could have bet your money on, And while you would have had friends disagree with you, nobody could have called you crazy and had a leg to stand on that Alabama didn't have a shot at a national championship that year. While college football won because now the path is easier, college football lost. It's the same way the NFL lost when Tom Brady retired. Now, the NFL won because the path got a little easier, but you don't have greatness walk out the door often. And far too often, we wait too long to give flowers. I think if you've cursed Saban's name his entire career, today's a day to give flowers because he is the greatest college football coach to ever do it.
Not even close. Not even close.
Hey, that's 100% spot on, Ty. Everything you said. I mean, looking at the numbers, looking at the winning, looking at just everything that he's done, man, it's crazy that he even had this run, right? I mean, I'm trying to think of the closest run to what Saban did. And
Bear Bryant.
I
Probably
mean,
Bear.
It's Bear.
It would be Bear. It would be Bear Bryant. It is the one, right?
And it's not even close.
Like this, like it's crazy that only two dudes was able to do this, and it was like two dudes at the same school, right?
But Jay,
that's what
just to
makes
kill
it
apart. It took Bear Bryant how many years to get those championships?
right. Like Bear was there for a
Forever.
long time, right?
Yeah.
He got him. Well, I mean, I guess we could say
Hold
a
on.
long time, but
Let's
that's
check it
what
out.
41, 60. That's what he was there 20. He was there 23 years.
So he was there 6 more years than Saban with the same
6
amount of
more years.
championships.
6 more years in Sabin's to get 6 championships, right? That's bananas.
That's ridiculous.
Saban spotted the man 6 years and still tied him.
Still tied him.
Yeah.
Still
at that
tied him
school.
and spotting him, right? Like it's just wild. Like it's wild, right? I think outside of Bear Bryant, the only thing that even jumps out close to me is looking at Oklahoma's 47 game winning streak. Like there's massive feats to get close to what Saban and Bear Bryant was able to do. Massive. And it's just crazy. It's funny because Bomani Jones had mentioned it on his show like a week or two ago that he expected Saban to retire. It's like, what? Why? Why would he retire? He's like, you can just see in his mannerisms, the way that he's approached things this year, it just doesn't look like the same old Saban. And at the same time, the way the transfer portal's going, NIL's going, stuff's exhausting, right? And he's 72. Pete Carroll, same day. Pete Carroll is basically retired, right?
Same age, too. Both of them 72.
Yes. And neither one of them look like it because, they take care of themselves well,
Yeah.
even though they're in very stressful jobs. But Saban now, the college football, like Ty said, we all benefit from it because now this unmovable force is gone. Now it's about who's going to be able to try to take the mantle, in which is probably going to be more of a shuffle and multiple teams win championships. It's going to be more of an open field for a bit, right? Just because of the way the portal and NIL is gone, it's making the playing field a little bit more level. But don't get it twisted. There's a few NFL jobs opening, and honestly, I can see 2 people taking a job. I can see Harbaugh leaving and going to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I could see the Falcons throwing a lot of money at Kirby Smart and convincing him to bounce. Gets you out of NIL, gets you out of transfer portal, and you can make what you're making in college, if not a little bit more, because the Falcons would do it to get that man to go there. So, yeah, it's going to be a crazy next couple of weeks. Now the portal's open for 30 days for these players. School starts in a week, guys.
Ooh.
I think that's what jumped out to me. The timing was amazing. It's next week, right? School starts the day after MLK Day. It's going to be nasty.
Saban wanted to assure that this next coach is going to have a full roster.
At least going into the spring.
Yes.
At least going into the spring, which I respect. Because, I mean, he could have easily retired.
He could have
2
bounced
weeks
after
ago.
the damn game.
Right. But doing it right now, yeah. But, I mean, Jason, you can say that. I am not. The way that the Falcons are desperate, they will offer all kinds of money to try to get that dude to leave. Do I think he takes it? I don't know. But I can totally see the Falcons saying, look, we'll pay you $20 a year if you go ahead and come and coach the Falcons.
Yeah.
It ain't outside of the realm. It's not outside of the realm of possibility. That's what I want to say about it. But yeah, man, bananas. This man's
Chris,
actually retired.
What's up, man?
what's going on, Chris? With a K.
Not much, man. I'm in here. I'm listening to the talk. You know, I came here to make sure that my friend was okay. Ty is okay, baby boy. You know what I'm saying? So just came to make sure Ty was okay. That's all I'm here for. You know?
He breathing.
Right.
He breathing.
Supporting our boy.
Yeah, no, I
breathing,
need
you
it.
know what
I
I'm saying?
need it.
Everybody
I brought
It's,
flowers and
right now.
everything, man.
I'm putting on a brave face.
I was gonna wear black, but I didn't think that would be
I
a
didn't.
little disrespectful.
I got
Toothbrush had gotten tossed.
Hey, look, Ty, the Auburn flags and all the rest of that stuff, they stay put away tonight. Okay.
I would haven't. I would bust a gasket.
Nah, hey, look, man. This is like Ty said, man. This is one of the this is the greatest coach to ever coach, and this is our Bear Bryant. This is our generation's Bear Bryant. So to see him go and be able to, you know, he's a guy that we're going to tell our kids about when they ask, you know, when they get to that age where they really recognize those names. So this is it's a new day for college football because you don't have that figure, that one go-to, that constant, that consistent there. And I don't think he's like Tom Brady or anything like that as far as trying to come back, or I definitely don't think he's like an Urban Meyer trying to, you know, hey, I'm gonna fake this out and then go over here and make this place great. I don't think that's it. I think that he's gonna have a hand in everything that happens, and probably the least I would say maybe the next year and a half, simply because I think either he's gonna have a strong imprint or he's gonna have his hands on a lot of what's going on with Alabama football. I'm sure of that, but it's going to be interesting to see. I don't think Bama goes away. I know some friends of mine in one of my group chats are talking about, you know, well, Bama wasn't spit without before Saban came there, and I'm like, hey, it's the new age. Bama has won all those national championships. They're not just going to go away quietly like that. They're going to go get a new coach. But one thing I would say, I don't know if you guys have talked about it, but one thing that I would give him probably the most credence on is just the fact that not only what he was able to do for all these players that he's put in the league, but also for these coaches. I mean, Nick, you guys with Sarkisian, with Sark, all of that stuff. I mean, he's gotten a lot of guys you know, coached up to the point where they can go out there and actually be on their own now. They know what they need to do to build a program. So, I mean, his coaching tree it has deeper roots than a lot of people, you know?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
so, yeah, I mean, you know, we love to talk about Bob Stoops with his coaching tree, but I mean, it fails in comparison to what Nick Saban has been able to do. So I think that's something that we definitely got to talk about. But to make it spicy, to make it interesting, I mean, I'm interested now. I don't necessarily know if you see a mass exodus, but I don't know who do you hire, because I think I was under the impression, I think some of us were under the impression that Nick Saban was going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy Pruitt was going to be your defensive coordinator, and probably get a whole new cast of coordinators or, you know, position coaches or whatever the case may be, like per usual, and you run it back. Milroe's your guy until somebody else comes in, does their thing, beats him or whatever the case may be, and you just run it back. So, you know, you thought that was going to be typical, but he went out this way. I'm glad that he went out on his own terms. It wasn't anything health related, wasn't anything. It was just he went out. So that's the other thing that I'm happy about with this as well. And I think we all should be happy about as well. But I'm definitely interested. Now I gotta get my popcorn ready, because it's about to be a wild couple of weeks, and it may be a wild 48 hours with this coaching search.
Hey man, if they want to keep this class together, the only real answer is Dan Lanning. Yeah.
What about Sark?
I mean, if they offer him, which I think they will, but I think that's going to give Sark a pay raise. I think Sark has built something that he likes in Texas. His wife is big into the fashion industry. I don't think that's going to be in Tuscaloosa. You know, she has. This is keep
Austin
it real.
is definitely for that for them.
Yeah, and so look, I think Sark has built something there.
There's a Tom Ford store somewhere around Tuscaloosa, I'm sure.
I was just down there a couple weeks ago visiting my cousins. They ain't nothing in P-Town. But yeah, man, I think if they want to keep that class together for somebody who is not at a school that can reach the heights of Alabama, it's got to be Dan Lanning, in my opinion. I think Dan Lanning is young enough to be at this job for 20 plus years if he wants to. He has the energy. He's a great recruiter.
He's already been there.
He's already been there. So he was there for a while as a analyst for a year. He followed Kirby over to Georgia as his DC. He did the DC for 2 years, right, Ty? And then he leaves and goes off to, Oregon and builds a hell of a squad up there. And we've seen what Oregon's done over the past 3 years, right? So I think Dan Lanning is the perfect choice there. Like I said, he's young. He can recruit. To be a coach in today's college football landscape, this is a young man's game now, folks. I love to see Nick with his tie on and his blazer, and he's walking, but you're looking like, man, Nick got to be tired, man. Like, I don't think
2024 is wild already, dog.
Yeah,
we got all
man.
kinds of stuff going on. We got comedians going after each other.
Yeah, man. We got
coaches.
We got Cat Williams going at it. But yeah, man, this is a young man's game now. And so I don't think Nick Saban wants to be 72 years old, basically asking the 17-year-old kid to come to a school anymore. Right? I mean, he has grandkids, right? It's time for Nick to do his thing. But I think Dan Lanning's a home run. I think it's a home run hire if Bama can get him, pay him. His buyout's $20 million. So Bama has the funds to do that. But after Dan Lanning, I don't know who they go get, because I don't think anybody at the big schools, minus Lane Kiffin, which I don't think Ole Miss is a big school, but I don't think Lane Kiffin has the maturity for the job. I'm still, it's something about Lane Kiffin when it comes to the mature aspect of him. Can he be the guy for Alabama? Alabama kind of needs a man in the room. And I'm not saying Lane Kiffin's not. It's just he has those instances where he kind of goes off the rail a little bit, right? And where we've seen Saban over the past 16, 17 years at Bama, he's always been the mature guy that knows his program in and out and is going to give you the right answer, and he is going to get that team in the right spot. And I think Dan Lanning is that guy for Bama.
Ty, who do you want? Like who on your list, your top 3 that you would be excited about? Not internal though, because I know the internal, there's potential on the internal side for you, but who externally really wets your whistle on this job?
So the first one's Dan Lanning, right? Obviously, I think it makes sense because he was at Alabama. He knows the SEC landscape. He won a national title with Georgia.
Yep.
And he's done great work at Oregon. I get it. People can say that he didn't win the pack, and that's fair. He had a talented team, the most talented team in the pack, and he didn't win it. But he'd also only been a head coach for 2 years, going up against DeBoer, going up against. You can have your gripes about Lincoln, but Lincoln has playoff experience. As a head coach, Dan Lanning had no head coach experience. So I think the man did great considering the lack of experience he had. And you look at recruiting, it was fantastic. My second name I'm going to give you is not realistic. So I'm just going to go ahead and lead with that. It is kind of one of those if I could wish it into existence. And it's not realistic for a few reasons, one being the timeline, but DeMeco Ryans. Ooh. If there was any way to get DeMeco Ryans back to Tuscaloosa, my goodness.
And I've been seeing that.
And he's only being paid $4 million a year in Houston.
Yep.
We could triple that. We could triple that exponentially.
Tacking off the top rope with that one.
That name has been floating around ever since that announcement came out. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm going to let you get back to it. But that's the name that I've been seeing the most. And the only thing that hurts this whole situation is he's in the freaking playoffs.
That's why I said timing.
Now, if Houston loses one more game,
awful.
If Houston loses one more game and not in the playoffs, Ty gets his wish.
You might have this weekend. Actually, you may get it on Saturday.
Bro, I will if I don't see it, like I said, and to anybody that's just coming in, I don't think that DeMeco Ryans is realistic at all. I prefaced it before, but if I could will it into existence, DeMeco Ryans would be my number one off the rip, because Bama could pay him a lot more than $4 million a year.
That is good.
Man, I'm actually sad that they made the playoffs because, it is what it is. And as far as number 3 goes, That's where it gets interesting to me. Because I look at several different names. I look at a Steve Sarkisian, someone who's been in Tuscaloosa, someone who's recruited the SEC. But to Nino's point, he just went to the college football playoffs with Texas. I mean, they're building something there. There has been a clear turnaround under that regime. Would he leave that where he's kind of now being known as the guy that, at the very least, if he never wins a national championship at Texas, he'll be known as the guy that at least started steering it in the right direction? Do you want to leave that to be the guy that takes over after Nick Saban? I don't know. The other one, Lane Kiffin. But guys, I think y'all have hit the nail on the head. Yeah. Lane is a brilliant head coach, but I just wonder, are you serious enough for Alabama?
No.
Yeah.
And I don't think the answer is yes. Now, I'll tell you a name that I've seen a lot. And Kalen DeBoer, that'd be a great one. Don't get me wrong. That'd be a great one.
Great.
A great one. And they were already going after Washington's wide receiver coach as well. The name that I really don't want is Dabo.
Yes.
Yep.
And gentlemen, people watching, I'm going to be very clear as to why. Is Dabo a great coach? Yes. If we're talking X's and O's football, Dabo's a great coach. I don't think there's anybody that's going to argue that, but college football is not just being about the best coach. I mean, if it was, Gary Patterson would have been far more successful in terms of national success than he was, because that guy is an absolute wizard at the X's and O's. An absolute menace to society in terms of the X's and O's of football. Dabo Swinney doesn't adapt. And we can talk about a lot of what Nick Saban does. Nick Saban adapted better than anybody in the game. Going from the AP to the playoffs to the transfer portal to the spread offense that tested his defense, made him change parts of his defense and his offense. You cannot go from somebody that has shown willingness to adapt to somebody that is letting their program that, mind you, Clemson was Georgia 5 years ago, guys.
Yeah.
They were the team that was winning national championships with Alabama. He didn't adapt. He sat on his hands. You can't have that. I'm sorry. Not in Tuscaloosa. You're not in Miami where you have the beach right there, or LA where you have the beach right there. I know there are distractions that come with that, but Tuscaloosa is a place where you have got to be serious about the product at hand, and the product at hand is football. You can't be someone who sits on your hands.
Yep.
I'm with it, man. I'm with it. Yeah, Dabo's not the answer, folks. And I've been seeing people, talk about Dabo, and yes, he's won 2 championships in 7 years. But like Ty said, Nick Saban has went from being a run first team, I formation kind of guy when he played against Texas, and won in 2010, to basically run it down your throat, even though he had a guy like Julio Jones on the boundary. Right. He had a guy like that and still didn't really utilize him the way that he probably should have been utilized, because he had his system that worked. He had big 250-pound linebackers, everything. Everything was the way that he wanted college football to be ran. We saw, let's say, Ohio State come in that first BCS championship game, and that's when they kind of spread him out, sideline to sideline, and Saban's bigger linebackers could not keep up with Ohio State. So what does Saban do? He redefines what SEC football is going to be, and he goes and recruits these linebackers that are not 250 pounds, 240 pounds. He gets these guys that are 215, 220. He builds them up over 2 or 3 years, and they're 225 pound, 230 pound heat-seeking missile that runs a 4.5 40, and he redefined what it was like. Johnny Football came to the SEC and just dominated from day one. And Saban said, I gotta figure out this spread thing. I gotta figure out this air raid. And he figured it out. So like Ty said, he is the best coach of all time when it comes to college football. He has adapted the best of any coach of any era. He's went through probably 4 or 5 transitions at Alabama alone.
And then think of staff he's gone through.
Yes. And that's the beauty of it, Ty. I'm glad you said about the staff, because he has lost guys like, we can say, Bo Davis. Well,
Kiffin.
Hold on. Look, I'm just going to talk about players, coaches that have won championships. We can say what we want about Jimbo all we want. He has a championship. Okay. It is what it is. Sarkisian has 2. I'm sorry, not Sarkisian. Kirby Smart has 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sarkisian just goes to the playoffs. Lane Kiffin is winning 10 games a year every year. Like his coaching tree is something that is just outstanding, right?
Nightmares.
And so this is probably the worst coaching staff that he's had since he's been at Alabama. And folks, they just went to the college football playoffs
and took the national champions to overtime. There were 32 bad snaps in the game. Took them to overtime.
Exactly. So this is probably, Saban is usually he has the best coaching staff of any college in the country. This year he's probably around 10. He's probably around 10 or 12, right? And they still went to the college football playoffs. Go ahead, Chris.
Can I look? Ty, I got to ask you this question right here. And Jay, why is Urban Meyer's name not popping up right now? Why is there any hesitancy?
Nah, bro. I think the pressure there. I just think that the pressure at Alabama would be so different, man. Like coming in to fill his name, filling Nick Saban's shoes.
Yeah.
The national reaction would be, oh, well, Bama, I mean, like, yeah, they're going to take a year, but like Bama's going to be right back at it. I just don't see Urban doing it, man. Great coach. Hell of a coach. No doubt about that. It's just...
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I don't see him going to, of all schools, Alabama, and them wanting to take on him and the potential of him wanting to leave. Right? That's a huge that's a huge undertaking. I think for them to even consider that. I just don't see him doing that personally.
I don't know. It just feels like. It feels like that's a name that we're not talking about that he gets instant credibility, but just there's some loose ends that need to be tied up as far as, we roster management, and we mean roster management on and off the field and probably outside of the, the training facilities or whatnot. Like we need that around here.
But you're not wrong. Yeah. Like you're not even wrong for the idea of it because, I mean, truth be told, we were thinking he'd take the A&M job. Mm-hmm. We've been waiting to see about the USC job before. There's been jobs that we were thinking that Urban Meyer was going to take, and every single time he hasn't. Yeah. But I think that he doesn't want to deal with the NIL era. Also, a lot of coaches have voiced it in their press conferences and stuff about the beautiful life of coaching in the NFL, because once you're done, you're done. Right, you get breaks. You don't have to recruit year round.
But see with Ty's list, that's kind of the only problems I have is that we're mentioning Lane Kiffin, and I'm like, okay, well, if you're talking about the silliness that he brings, then you got to talk about Urban, though. You got to at least consider him. And then with DeMeco Ryans, I know people put in here Dan Quinn, stuff like that. I'm just not sure if those guys have the motor for recruiting, and that's my only problem, because that NFL lifestyle is way different.
Boy, spoiled. But I do ask that question on that one. The Lane question is interesting. What makes any of us think that Lane Kiffin that
would work?
Bama would take him back?
Look, he got
after
fired.
All the flirting he did with Auburn.
I mean, listen to this though. Nick Saban fired the man before the national championship game. I mean, it wasn't a firing. He let him, go, and he let Sark coach the national championship game. It was a fire. I mean, he essentially let him go before the biggest game of the damn season, right? I mean, I like Lane Kiffin. I do. But when you look at Lane Kiffin and what he's been through in the past, and going to Tennessee for 1 year and then bouncing, getting a great class and then bouncing to go to USC, and then getting fired on the bus or on the tarmac, whatever, down there at, there, then coming to Sabin to get, rehabbed basically. And then Sabin fires him. Then he goes to FAU, right? And he goes there for a couple years, and then he leaves there to go take the job at Ole Miss, right? Lane, his antics for me, and maybe Ty can back me up on this, but even the game just 2 years ago against Bama, or not Yeah. It was 2 years ago where he has the popcorn. He's like, get your popcorn ready. He's like, what are the antics for, Lane? Like, you know, a coach doesn't have to do. A coach that's confident in their team and has a good team doesn't have to do that to get themselves psyched up for a game, right? He's like the oddball out when it comes to the guys that Saban has brought through his program, right?
Mhm.
But I love Lane. Lane's not saying anything bad about Alabama because I think Lane wants his job, right? I think Lane would want this job in a heartbeat,
Mhm.
and that's why he always gives Saban the credit and everything, no matter what happened between him and Saban. But I just think there needs to be a different kind of caliber of person in that room for
Well, I mean,
Bama.
with Kiffin, you look, Kiffin is kind of like, and he's not far out there like this. This is a bad comparison, but it's the best I can come up with right now. He's like Dennis Rodman-esque, where you kind of just have to let him do him and clown a little bit, because that's whenever he's the best. You know what I'm saying? He's at his best whenever he has kind of a loose leash, I guess you can say. But I mean, that's just lame, man.
But your character,
Yeah.
the way that you act like that will play out on the field too. So the way that you are in front of people 24/7 is how you usually carry yourself in every aspect of your life. You see, you have Saban comes up, he's buttoned up 24/7. He's a buttoned up guy, right? And he's buttoned up on the field, he's buttoned up in a press conference, he's buttoned up recruiting. Kirby is intense. He's very intense in the field. He's intense when he's getting held back from running on the field. He has to have a guy literally hold him back every game from running on the field, right? This guy gets paid to hold his belt so that he won't run out like on the field. But he's intense in his play calling. He's intense in recruiting. But what is Lane known for? He makes he's kind of off. He's kind of wishy, kind of up in the air, kind of blonde hair kind of person, right? Where you're like, is this dude a ditzy or what? So how's that going to play out on the field too as well, right? And so Alabama fans, they ain't gonna let you make those mistakes that you made at Ole Miss. It's not gonna happen. They're not gonna accept that after 17 years of Sabin, right? They're gonna want somebody to come in and win.
How are they going to replace a Saban and think that they're actually going to get someone that can do what Saban did? That's where the struggle's going to come in.
So,
can the expectations go down just as you're bringing in a new regime?
Go ahead, Ty. Get this.
No, the expectations aren't going to go down, but that's because Bama fans are blue blood fans, right? Like it's the expectations will temper, but Bama is a blue blood. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. But what I will say is Marquise Mays is already on Twitter, pumping to everybody that he thinks the name, it's already done. That it's all of the details being worked through now, and to give them time.
Dan Lanning?
And I don't know who. But that's and it would make sense, right? Like because apparently I also read that they asked the players to give them to wait 72 hours for the guys on roster to make any decisions. So that leads me to believe that we will have an answer in the next 72 hours.
Can I so here's two things. Okay. So first off, I think honestly, and they may have their guy, but this is just me throwing my 2 cents in the barrel. I think it really boils down to two former coordinators. So the first I'm going to say, to get this one out of the way, because I know Ty is probably going to try to come through that screen after me, but Pete Golding. Why not Pete Golding? You know what I'm saying?
Stop it, Chris. Turn his mic off.
Why can't we do that?
Hold on, I'm about to mute you.
No. I'm going to move on to the second one, okay? I just wanted to make time.
Ty's going to kill this man.
Hey.
Ty's going to kill this man.
Oh, man, that man said 3rd and golden.
Hey, all right.
Ty's going to kill this man.
Get him out.
Kick him out. He should be kicked for that for the rest of the day. That's hilarious.
Hold on. So my other one, honestly, I'm just going to be real with you, Nick. Sark.
Hey,
if
honestly,
if you want to get the best out of Milroe, Sark makes the most sense.
Not for a year. No. I think the best out of Milroe right now is for Dan Lanning to come and bring his system down to Bama. I'm just being honest. Because we saw what Sark doesn't like running quarterbacks, y'all. Y'all know that.
Fair.
He doesn't like running quarterbacks. He does not want to run a quarterback.
Now,
right?
Ty gonna hate this one too, but if you really want to
get
the most,
don't. I just
Jalen
got
Milroe,
over one,
but
I hate it.
1 year,
Tommy Rees.
he's proven it. He can do it for 1 year. He's actually done it with an Alabama quarterback that plays just like Jalen Milroe. 1 year.
Lincoln Riley.
Bring him there with that staff and a good defensive coordinator. I don't know, man. Lincoln Riley could probably do it.
Oh
man.
God, no, Jay, what? the B. Wally experience, Ty?
No, you don't bring him. You literally tell Lincoln, "I'm bringing you," and that's it.
No, but look here though, man. The more and more I look at the Dan Lanning, situation. Imagine Jalen Milroe in that Oregon offense this year.
Oh my God.
Well, they actually throw screen passes. Guys, when I went back and watched Michigan, which, by the way, that defense is unbelievable. That
Physical.
Michigan defense is fantastic.
Physical.
But they were playing Bama receivers like 8 yards off, and we didn't throw any bubble screens, no wide receiver screens, no running back screens, like nothing. Nothing. Get me Brennan Marion.
At
offensive coordinator, Dan Lanning, head coach, Travaris Robinson, defensive coordinator.
That go-go?
Yeah, little go-go, a little two-back system back there.
That go-go, man. That
Justice
go-go
Haynes, Jam Miller, and Richard Young in the go-go offense.
Oh my God,
that would be fun.
I love Jam Miller.
It would be fun
man.
if anything.
I love some Jam Miller, man. He's one of my favorites, man. I love watching him in high school.
If you asked me, like, if I could write it in right now, that would be my move. Dan Lanning, Brennan Marion at offensive coordinator. And I actually think if that happened, and guys, once again, we're not breaking news here. We're giving my opinions. So
this is having fun with this.
This is me talking. I just rolled off screen because of a suggestion. I think that if you get that combo, you can get back Ryan Williams. You could get back Ryan Williams with a Dan Lanning and a Brennan Marion coming back at him. I think you could get Ryan Williams back. Maybe I'm just being hopeful.
I think you're being hopeful. I think.
Hey, let me be hopeful. Let me have.
Ty, I think Ryan Williams was waiting for a reason to decommit.
Don't.
And I think he was going to decommit prior to this, but this was just the cherry on top to say, okay, this is the perfect time to do it now, and now I have my reason to do it because Saban's not here. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, man. I don't know, man. I think, look, man, it has to be Dan Lanning. I think Dan Lanning is the perfect, choice for this. Just to see where he has brought his teams here over the last couple years, to see that he has kind of rehabilitated Bo Nix. You know what I'm saying? I think he can do that same thing for Jalen Milroe. I do.
I think it'd be a great hire. Your fave 5 head says DeMeco Ryans. Yeah, if they could swing DeMeco Ryans, that'd be amazing. But the only thing I worry about is the timing.
Yeah, this is the timing. And, I'm not even worried about the recruiting with him. Man, he's a young coach, man. Like he might not, I'm not going to say he might not like it or not, but he was a player at Bama. He was recruited.
Yeah.
Like he understands the assignment. You know what I'm saying? And so, look, man, I think he'll be fine. I think it'd be fine. What's up, Chris? What you laughing at?
Oh, I saw in the comments somebody said Ted Roof. I want to say this name, but
look at this.
I don't. Huh?
Read that comment.
Yeah,
Deion Sanders.
Hey,
Nah, his sons are already ready to go at Colorado.
Jeff, yeah. Now, how many more? I mean, they have to sit out a year if he left.
Well, the NCAA has that court case right now that
That's
allowed
true.
unlimited transfers, and I don't think they're going to fight it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's they.
You want Prime?
I don't think he'd be a good fit down there. I just don't.
Nah.
Yeah,
I think Texas A&M would have been a crazy fit. It would have been an amazing fit for him. What about Jeff Traylor? Do you take a shot at do you take a chance on like a group of 5 coach?
I love Jeff Traylor, but I just don't see
No.
Alabama moving in that direction, man.
Okay.
I think
No.
I like Chris. I think I 100% agree with the logic behind the statement. I think he is a phenomenal coach. I thought he'd have been a home run hire for A&M, and I say this with all due respect to Texas A&M. This is going to be a shot without Bama is not Texas A&M.
I mean, that's true. That's
You know
true.
what I mean? Like a home run hire for A&M is not.
Yeah, to fix the culture, because I know my uncle and I, we talked about Whittingham, Willie Fritz,
Ooh,
Jeff
Whittingham.
Trailer. I mean, those were guys that
Whittingham would
thought
be
would,
interesting.
Yeah.
Whittingham.
Those were guys
But-
that we said, hey, they come in there with instant credibility, because my uncle and I, we still feel that, look, Elko May proved to be the right choice, but you still could have got Mark Stoops anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Prime to the Tide.
No,
Prime
you know
to
what
the
though?
Tide.
This is how great of a coach Nick Saban is. You know, like Cal Whittingham's a hell of a coach. He's top tier coach in college football, but I don't think he's good enough for the job.
Yeah.
That's how great Nick Saban was. Like I don't think he's good enough to follow up Nick Saban. I don't. And I'm not saying nothing bad about him. I'm just saying how great Saban was and looking at the future of Alabama and what Alabama can do in the future. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so to be a guy at Alabama, you had to be dynamic in a bunch of spots. And that's where Saban was outstanding at being. He was dynamic at defense. He was dynamic at transforming his offense to meet the times. And he was second to none in recruiting. And that's why I think you're going to have to get a younger guy in there. This is a young man's game now, folks, when it comes to recruiting. Like, you know, it's hard it's got to be pretty self-humbling for a 50 or 60-year-old man to kind of beg a 17-year-old to come to their school, right? A 36-year-old or 40-year-old guy is going to be able to sit down and at least get it, right? You know, like they can understand a kid a little bit, right? You know, they may have a little brother that's 15 years younger than them. Who knows? But they're a little bit more closer to the culture than a guy like Saban or Cal Whittingham is or something like that. So I don't think Bama, as good as Cal Whittingham is and as good as some of these other coaches are, they're really good coaches. They've played in CFPs, but I don't think they're good enough for Bama after Saban. That's the crazy part.
So let me ask the panel this question here, because I think this needs to be asked. And it's a question. It's not a trick question. I'm sure people are going to say, oh, it's very straightforward, but it's not. Ty Hayes, the new head coach of Alabama football, what does that coach have to do instantly? Does he have to hit the road? Does he go and try to talk to boosters to get this whole NIL thing like sure it up? What does he do? I mean, because that coach is not only gonna have big shoes to fill with press. I mean, with the press, but he's gonna have to do something. I mean, so what is the first thing that he should do? Does he have to reaffirm relationships inside the state and then in Georgia, those pipelines, or what does he do? Oh, that would be lovely.
No, it would not. The first thing he has to do, whoever it is, and this is going to sound like a wild answer, it is going to be whatever it is that's their MO. And the reason why I say that, you can't go in there and the first thing you do is you try and be Nick Saban. You're not going to be Nick Saban.
Yep.
Guys, we might need to rectify this right now. We will probably, like overwhelming statistical odds, that we will live the rest of our lives and never see another Nick Saban in college football.
It's never going to. Only the closest person to it, if Kirby runs off a span of 3 or 4 more in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kirby's the closest right now.
He's the closest. Or 3 or 4 more in the next 15 years. 3 and 15 is possible every 5 years for a guy like Kirby, but that's the closest. And that's a big what if. You know what I'm saying?
Fred,
I'm with you. It's never happening again.
I love if Sark takes the job, y'all hire Jimbo Fisher just for $2 just to piss off the Aggies to where they have to still pay that man. Well, they're going to pay him anyway because all of his money was guaranteed.
Make him an analyst.
Yeah.
Make it. No. I shouldn't say that because he's talking about Sark taking the job. But
I love the way you turned around on it. But no.
Dan
we probably won't. I agree.
No, he didn't like to recruit. No. Why you want Dan Mullen? Look, let's be honest. There's probably 3 names on this list, folks.
Legitimate.
Maybe four legitimate names. Dan Lanning. I don't think Dabo's on the list, folks. I just don't. I can't see
I
Bama higher.
regretfully think he's on the list.
I hope not, Bama. But okay, so let's put Dabo on the list. That's 2. I think Sarkisian's on the list. That's 3.
Lane.
And I think Lane's on the list. That's 4. And I think the Washington coach is on there. I think that's 5 guys.
You really think that Bama would take Lane after all his antics?
I don't think so. But I don't think so. Ty's more plugged in than me.
Right. That's what I mean. Ty, you really think he's a viable that he's truly considered? It just feels like
Alabama here's what I will say. Think about everything Lane has done. So I know that you said he flirted with Auburn. Did he flirt with Auburn and did he troll Auburn?
I get it. I'm just saying it just doesn't feel like he fits what y'all are trying to do as a head coach. I think of him, even though he has shown a slight amount of maturity, I still see him as the same dude that was at USC.
I do too. That's my
I agree. I agree, but I definitely think he's in the mix.
I mean, it's interesting. I don't doubt that, of course, I know, like, as Steven said, as Nick said, you're very much more plugged in on this situation, but I just feel like Lane is just a terrible choice. I guess that's what it is.
I think Dan Lanning's the obvious choice here. I
think that's the most one.
I think that's the one that makes the most sense. But I'm telling you,
$20 million buyout is the problem.
That's the problem.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, if you want to get the most out of Milroe and get that offense really churning,
it's Dan Lanning.
If you turn over to Sark,
no, because Sark doesn't. That's not his kind of quarterback. His kind of Dan Lanning. I'm telling you, that Oregon offense that he ran this year with Bo Nix running all over the field and passing short passes, that is Milroe. Like that would damn near guarantee that they're going to be in the playoffs next year. That would almost
go deep. He throws a better deep ball than Bo Nix.
It's not even close. Well, it's not even close.
Okay, so here's another question for the panel, and anybody can answer this. What the hell happens to Tommy Rees?
Gone.
The new coach.
Gone.
I mean, is he retained or no?
He getting walking papers.
That's a question.
He getting walking papers, man.
Well, here's the deal. He's probably gone, and it might not have anything to do with him because while Nick Saban has been there, they have ran Bama's offense. Now, we can get into an hour conversation as to what is Bama's offense. Bama's offense is an amalgamation of several different styles that Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian molded into, quite frankly, a brilliant. I'm always a little bit disappointed that more places like Cover 3 don't do like a podcast breaking down the Bama offense and how we arrived here, how they can go from a quarterback that's completely motionless, like as a standing statue in the pocket, to a guy that's running and they'll still go to the playoffs. It's because of what Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian did. The problem is now that Nick Saban's not there, you're not going to have to worry, or in theory, you're not going to have to worry about losing an offensive coordinator every 2 years. So it doesn't make sense to create your own offense. Mm-hmm. Now Bama is going to transition away from the Bama offense to something completely new. So I don't think Tommy Rees will be retained. Exactly. But I could be surprised. Like, I don't think he's a bad coach. I just, it is what it is.
Man, it's gonna be interesting. Look, I thought Tommy Rees I thought after this year he was gonna get walking papers this year anyway. That was just my opinion. I could have been wrong, but I don't think the new coach is going to retain him because they're going to bring their own staff, right?
They're going.
The only coach that I think will be retained, maybe the only coach I think has a good shot at being retained is someone like T-Rob.
Yeah, I say defensive guys.
Yeah.
T-Rob, I think, has a real shot at staying on staff because he knows the SEC. He's been a defensive coordinator in the SEC, and he is an ace recruiter. My God, can that guy recruit and develop? I mean, he worked with
Freddie Roach too.
J.C. Horn, or Freddie Roach too, no doubt about it. But you look at T-Rob, man, he worked with J.C. Horn.
Yep.
Terry and Arnold was a safety.
Mm-hmm.
This is his first full season last year and this year starting at cornerback, and he's a first-round draft pick.
What about somebody's mentioned Ryan Day?
No,
he's not ready. No,
child, please.
No, not even happening. Look here, man.
Nick would say, child
please.
I think he's a good coach, Jay. I think he's a very good coach.
But he's not good enough to replace Sabin. He's in that category.
I think that's where the problem lies. Who's truly...
Nobody is. But
right.
To answer, I would be more comfortable with Ryan Day if they didn't look terrible.
Ooh.
Like absolutely woeful against Michigan. Because it's like, okay, this is your third time and it's not getting better. And you recruit better than Michigan. Yeah. So Bama has had some of the best talent, but they've also had the best teams. Ohio State has the best talent in the Big Ten. They don't have the best team. Yeah. At least with Nick Saban, he was going to have the best talent and the best team.
Jay, you threw out Lincoln's name, right? I gotta bring up this point. It's a good point. My uncle, he just texted me about this. He said he thinks that what's lost in all of this is the fact that we're not even talking about Lincoln's star basically being so tarnished or diminished right now that he's not even getting a mention for this job from anybody.
Yeah.
Well, in fairness, I think that was, and this is going to be a little bit of a hot take from me, and y'all know I've defended Lincoln. But that was decided the moment he decided to skip town so he didn't have to play in the SEC.
Yep.
He could be doing just fine at USC. They could have been one play away from a playoff game, and I still wouldn't want Lincoln Riley because respectfully, my man, you ran from the smoke that is the SEC. So you can't come take over Bama. Like that these people are going to eat you alive down here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And look, he can't fill the defense against the Pac-12. What do you think he's going to do in the SEC?
Bro, if they walked in that defense, I would actively cry. I would cry. I'm fine. I'm the type of person, though, I'm fine with having an offense that's like 33rd in the nation if I have a top 3 defense. Like, I'm fine with an offense that's just like, it's creative, it's good. It might not be the number 1 offense. I'd rather have the number 1 defense. But I've always said in my videos, I prefer defensive football.
But that's Dan Lanning to a T.
Exactly. That's why I want Dan Lanning. Or in my fantasy world, DeMeco Ryans.
Yeah. So, look, this is a good question. And I think we already talked about this. So Greg says, what if they go with a young up-and-coming, OC for head coach? Less pressure to be Nick Saban 2.0. Look,
your logic is wrong, Greg.
Yeah, it's not wrong. It's just you're replacing a legend. And this is fine if you're replacing Charlie Strong, Tom Herman. This is fine if you're, getting rid of Mike Shula, who was a coach at Bama. You could do that, right? When you're replacing the greatest head football coach in college football history, this fan base, the boosters who have been drunk off winning for 17 years straight, want to continue to win. Yeah. And they want to see instant winning because they want to see the show continue to go on.
Literally, their least amount of wins have been 10 in the last
16 years. Yeah.
And they've only had one 10-win season. Everything's been 11 plus.
Yes. So
imagine NCAA 14 where they tell you your expectation is 11 wins every single year on that game. And you out there getting 11 wins every year because you're going to be winning 12 there. Hell, I've opened mine up. I'm in year 26 at my job. And my win expectation on that game is 13. You 14-0, you win the title. So, there's no room for mistakes.
There's no room for failure, and that's why it's going to be difficult because they're going to have to get a coach that is not afraid of the moment. Because a lot of coaches might not want to replace Saban, right? They know the pressure is going to be extremely difficult. And history doesn't fare well for coaches who replace greats. It just doesn't, right? But I don't think Dan Lanning's scared. That's why I think he's the guy. I do. I think Dan Lanning's the guy. It just makes so much sense. But like they say, it's that $20 million buyout. That's a lot of money, right? That is
Alabama.
a lot.
They
I know,
got
but
it.
like they got
You
it.
ready? Let me give you some numbers real quick.
Yeah.
Somebody just tweet this out. It's fantastic. Nick Saban had an insane resume at Alabama. 6 national championships, 9 SEC championships, 206 and 29 career record in 17 years. But the financial portion is crazier. Look at this. Since Saban arrived in 2007, Alabama's enrollment has increased from 25,000 students to 40,000 a year. Listen to this. Alabama went from majority of its student body consisting of in-state students to majority being out of state. Tuition going from 11,000 coming in to 32,000. They're bringing in annually hundreds of millions of dollars because Nick Saban keeps winning. So my point.
AJ, I want to stop you on that because you guys know I got 2 nieces that graduated from Bama, right? And so in 2019 and in 2020, I went to their graduations, and 2 consecutive years, they have said that, 2019, 52% of the incoming freshmen were out of state, right? And they're showing all the states that these kids came from: Alaska, Connecticut, Maine.
Their type is huge.
Oregon, Portland, Oregon, right? It's just like, why would you come down to Alabama? Yeah, it's the Saban effect. And the next year in 2020, it went from 52% to like 54%. We're out of state tuition. Those were out of state kids. It is the Saban effect. So yeah, you're right. They got the money. But it's going to be interesting. I want to get to this comment here by Drew. Drew says, I love how we are not considering that Alabama may fall off for a while. That would be best for Saban's legacy. Ah, man. Okay.
Nah.
It's not best for his legacy. Well, it's not best for the school's legacy. It's great for his legacy to say, look, I was the program, but no. This could happen. And I don't think people want to realize just how good of just Saban's the greatest, but this could happen. And I hope it doesn't, because college football is not good when your blue bloods aren't good. Like in the 90s when Bama wasn't that good in the 90s, right? They had a championship with Gene Stallings, right? In 96, Ty? Was it 96?
Mm-hmm. Was it 96? Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was 95 for some reason.
It was 92.
Oh, it was 92. Okay, so it was early, and then after that is when they had their
yeah. So, I got it pulled up here. So yeah, 92 was their AP title. So yeah, it was gloomy after that.
Yeah, after that,
94 was 12-1.
But for the most part of that,
yeah,
I
agree.
It wasn't a good 12-year span before Saban got there. They had probably 1 or 2 good seasons in there, and the rest were pretty mediocre. Things like that can happen when you lose a great coach. Mm-hmm. And I think Bama fans might need to prepare themselves for that. I tell my wife all the time, I said, you're spoiled. She goes, how? I said, this isn't normal. You're a Bama fan. Your sisters went to Bama. Our nieces went to Bama. 6 championships in 17 years isn't normal. This doesn't happen. So, things are coming back to a little bit of the mean.
But I also don't think anybody's operating under the assumption that Alabama's not going to fall off for a while.
Well, yeah, because it's going to be a whole new regime.
But I don't think anybody's operating under the assumption that
But what do you consider falling off?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Being a team that, like I said, whenever we talked about at the beginning of this, whenever you'd start off every college football season and say, I would bet $100 on Alabama winning a national championship, nobody could call you crazy. I don't think we're going to be like that anymore. I think Alabama's going to be a good team. I think they're going to win a bunch of games, and I think they could contend, but I don't think it's going to happen right away. I don't think anybody's disenfranchised into thinking that you're going to go from Nick Saban into continuing to compete for national championships at the same rate.
Yes, I wouldn't say – I would say not winning at the same rate, but with the new college football rules –
yeah, I keep forgetting the 12-team playoffs basically is an invitational for whoever wants to compete for a national championship.
And so that's kind of where I'm at is I don't know, man. To me it's Dan Lanning. It's Dan Lanning. It just is what it is. If Bama don't screw this up, Bama.
they got to pay him.
Don't go get Dabo, okay?
Oh,
Don't
They're
do
gonna
it.
go get Dabo.
well,
He's an alum, and that's his dream job. And hell, he's got a clause in his contract about Bama, which is still the funniest shit in the world to me.
Yeah.
I don't think that Bama's AD would go get Dabo because of the way that Nick Saban has adapted. Bama's got a very good AD.
Fair
I
point.
don't think that
Fair
he's
point.
going he's locked in, right? I don't think he would realize oh, Dabo refuses to use the transfer portal. I think if you are hiring Alabama's next head coach, you probably need to operate under the assumption that you're going to lose some people and you might have to use the transfer portal tomorrow to get some guys in. And if Dabo's the guy, you might lose some people and he's just going to sit on his hands and say, oh, well, next recruiting class, we'll go get him. That just isn't going to work.
This is Shaka made the best comment here. He says Saban is not just going to up and leave without a plan in place. They already got a coach lined up, and so he says I have no idea who it is, but probably a younger guy no one expects. Yeah, and I agree with this.
Interesting things.
Have you?
Well,
all right.
Yeah.
We'll talk offline. We'll talk. We end this.
Yeah, we gotta kind of talk offline on that one. That's not something that we can really share publicly. So
Yeah.
totally there for it, but.
So this is a good one too. Best case scenario. I mean, but this is best case scenario for any team. It's folks. I don't think people will just understand. But we have witnessed for Alabama is something that, like Ty said, we will probably never see again in our lifetime. Especially with the way that the rules are now with NIL, because it has really balanced the playing field out for everybody. When everything got legal for NIL, that's when you start to see teams start getting good again. You know, like Tennessee got real good 2 years ago. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Something
different.
Look at Missouri right now. They're utilizing the hell out of NIL, and they're playing well and they're recruiting well.
Damn Waltons. How they gonna pour all their money in Missouri and not Arkansas? Right?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
I would respect the heck out of them if they did it for Arkansas, but
they probably tired of Pittman too.
Yeah. Boom Time says, I'm telling you, Jay, it'll probably be Dabo. I've been thinking this since Sabin has been getting older and hasn't been winning the way he used to.
And I don't know if you could say that. I mean, he's been dominant.
He just won an SC championship, folks.
At the
he
end
just
of the
beat
day,
a team that won 2 years straight.
Please. At the end of the day, you can say he hasn't won a national championship and this year or whatever the case may be. But
it's been a long 3-year drought.
Yeah. But at the end of the freaking day, he went out. He still went out on top. He still went out on top.
This might have been his best coaching performance that we've seen since the Blake Sim year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where he took a quarterback that it's not a normal Bama quarterback, right? As far as passing the ball, he's a run first kind of guy.
Right.
His team is still talented, folks. I mean, people want to say this
excuses. Didn't make any excuses.
He didn't make any excuses. He just adapted his offense, like Ty says. He adapts his offense, and they kept winning. They just kept winning, and
Ty,
so it just worked out for him.
Ty, would you do me and Jay a favor? Okay. Can y'all take Gundy so we can get a shot at him one more time?
Absolutely not.
I understand.
Absolutely.
We want a piece of Gundy one more time.
Oh man.
Not.
I would not wish that on my worst enemy, that dude. And Ty's a friend. No. Let him stay mediocre where he at.
Yeah. Hey guys, we got a $2 chat by Drew. Hold on. Thanks, Drew. Thanks, Drew, for that chat, man. I appreciate that. Must be the money. All right. So he says NIL, portal, and a 12-team playoff is why Sabin left.
I'm going to tell you why Sabin left. It's because he's 72.
But Todd, there is some truth to this, I think. Okay. And as soon as NIL came out, Sabin he's kind of been against it. Right. I'm going to say against it. He was for it, for Bryce being paid. I don't think Sabin wanted to play this game. I just don't. I think Sabin's like, man, this shit's getting wild now. You know, I'm too old for this. I just want to go recruit, drop my bag off, You know what I'm saying? Go get my dude and bring him back to school and call it a day. You know what I'm saying? Now it's
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
yeah.
I was messing. Like
Okay.
I completely agree with Drew. I just had to make a little bit.
Yeah.
Listen, I have to make myself laugh. I'm going through a lot over here, but Drew, you are right. Like all of those things, I think that there's a lot. I mean, guys, I don't know if you remember the soundbite. Looking back on it, I feel stupid. You want to know why I feel stupid?
What's that?
Do y'all remember the SEC championship game before the game? Kirby and Nick met at midfield, shook each other's hands, and stood there talking for a while. And Nick said to him, I'm too old for this now.
Oh, really? He said that?
No, he literally said that. He literally
wow.
told him, I am too old for this now. So, Drew, you were right, but he verbatim said he's too old. Like, that was...
And and look, Drew, thanks for the other one, man. Look, this is another great comment here. Saban cares about his legacy. No better time to retire than now.
Very
and
true.
I love it when legends
100%.
go out on top. I love it when legends go out on top. I hate it when Michael Jordan wouldn't play for the Wizards. Those are years I wish I could forget about Michael Jordan, right? Like Saban went out as the greatest, and we saw him. His last game was take the national championship team to overtime with one play left to win the game from the 3-yard line. Like that's the last play.
A bad snap.
I'm totally fine with seeing a legend go out competing for a championship. Right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. He went out as a 12-2 team. Right? So look, man, Drew, I'm with you on that. No better time to retire than when you're on top. And then Drew says 100%. Again, he says Saban is not too old. He stay around for years. Yeah.
Saban's about to go work on ESPN for the next 10 years, probably
He's
doing
taking
game
Lee Caruso's job. He's taking Lee Caruso's job. That's what Nash Talks Texas told me today. He said he's just waiting for Lee Caruso to retire. And,
no, he's going to take Pat McAfee's job. McAfee's not going to come back next year just because he don't want to rock the boat. He mentioned he didn't sign his contract, his extension to stay on there just because he didn't want to rock things too much. Well, he know he's rocked things and not too many people were feeling them. So Saban's going to take that job. Saban will be on ESPN going forward for like the next 10 years before because he can't sit there and fiddle his thumbs. That's not him.
Yes, that's true. Look at David Keith Williams says Coach Saban couldn't wait one more day. He had to take the thunder from Coach Davis leaving Texas.
Think how Pete Carroll felt. Pete Carroll retired. Pete Carroll leaves Seattle, and nobody cares because Nick Saban retired.
Yeah,
and think how Pete Carroll felt.
This is a Super Bowl winning coach and a national championship college. There's only so many coaches who have done that, right? It's Pete Carroll and who else?
So Ty,
Jimmy Johnson.
Got a question for you. Did Forrest Gump leave the house and go running for the rest of the day? Have y'all seen him floating around Greenville, Alabama? Because Saban's now gone.
Yeah.
Actually, Drew has some. Drew, thanks for the money again, man. He said his best coaching performance ever. It was his time. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I agree with this too. But look, Ty, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Man, the talent that Alabama's bringing back next year, I thought they were a young team this year. I thought with the right coaching, they might have been the team next year.
Yeah, well, that's the scary part. Looking at what comes back, hopefully, got to get the right hire in here. But the talent that could be on this team, because you're right. You look at that offense, the offense is back. Pretty much in its full form, aside from the running back,
but the running backs are replaceable. You guys got a ton of them.
Well, yeah, Justice Haynes, I think against Michigan, kind of showed that the future is going to be.
Yeah, you guys got a ton of running backs.
Yeah. So, got to do some work in the secondary.
Yeah.
Mission number 1 is keep Caleb Downs.
Caleb Downs, come home, baby.
No,
come to Texas.
No,
come back home, man.
It's funny.
Y'all already got Makuba.
No, hey, man, look. He can move the nickel. We can put Caleb Downs back at safety.
This guy. It's funny, though. Somebody actually mentioned it in the comments, too, a minute ago, that Nick Saban completely took away the full thunder and luster of Bo Davis leaving and going to LSU. Like, that was going to be part of the big topics today, because I know everybody was shocked on that.
I was.
Which is why I was shocked until when Dominic McKinley committed to LSU and the next day they fired the whole defensive staff. I was like, okay, LSU told him who they were hiring. LSU told him.
Or who they were going after, because all the reports were saying that he turned down like the first contract, which was rumored to be like 1.3 million or something like that, or 1.2 million. So they must have upped the ante today and just said, hey, bro, come on. So I saw that the contract now was a fully guaranteed 3-year, 4.4 or 4.5, something like that. But
For
it's fully,
yeah.
Man, it was funny because I heard catching them on the Orange Bloods talking about that, whether or not they thought that he was, worth giving a raise or bumping him up to $1 million like earlier.
He already makes $1 million.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. I thought Bo already made $1 million, but also the big rumor is supposedly his son plays at Southeast Louisiana, and he's going to transfer to LSU, and he wants to coach his son.
I think could have did that here. I mean, at Texas.
I mean, if the staff wanted them. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm just talking on top of my head there. But
does he play the edge, or does he? Oh, obviously he plays D tackle, right? He plays
so.
interior. Okay,
yeah, I think so.
Somebody put Coke and oatmeal cream pies on the Nick Saban
at the statue.
No,
that was great.
No, but did you see somebody's comment on that?
Yes, I'm reading all these comments. It's awful.
They said
I will not
Coke and cream. About the Calipari.
Somebody, the way it hit my timeline is somebody said Coke and cream pies is how Rick Pitino went out too.
Rick Pitino
That's actually funny.
I hate this place. I hate the interwebs. I'm done.
Man, it's freaking hilarious, man. What did David Keith Williams say? I like David a lot, man. David's always on. Thanks, David, for the comments.
Yeah,
man. He goes that the world probably knows Coach Saban was the greatest football coach ever. It will be very interesting to see the impact of his loss towards how successful or how unsuccessful Alabama will be in 2024. I think Alabama has too much talent. If they make the right hire, they have too much talent to not be successful in 2024.
But we've seen a bad hire ruin great talent.
That's true. But not Alabama talent. I mean, come on. I mean, dude, Alabama's stacked.
Yeah, so is Texas A&M.
Well,
I mean, Texas A&M players are now being bought by Ole Miss and everybody. So yeah, fair point. I mean, the most 5 stars ever, and then all of a sudden they're all gone because.
But Tyler, yes, they were stacked. Ty, they were stacked. But the culture in that place was abysmal. The culture at Alabama, those players still have that culture in them. Like, if you get a decent coach there, you're going to win at least 9 games next year. If that talent stays.
Bobby Petrino.
Get him out.
Get him out. Oh, my God. Oh, man, I don't know, man. Look, to me, Alabama, just go open that checkbook for Dan Lanning. He's young. He has that fiery attitude in him. I'm hating I'm saying this because I'm a Texas guy. Because I would love nothing better than to see Alabama kind of fall down a little bit. But college football is so much better when your great teams are great. And just think how great it was this year to see Alabama kind of go through their season. The 4th and 31, the Milroe Miracle, even the overtime loss to Michigan. I mean, the close games. Arkansas was a close game, great game. The game against LSU where they pulled away in the second half. Even the Texas game,
Tennessee,
it was a good game. The Tennessee game where they pulled away in the second half. I mean, college football is better when your name brands are good. And Alabama is the name brand in college football, right? It just is what it is. So,
who's the other ones, Nick?
Oh, look. Name off.
Who's the other ones? Hey, so quick question for the panel, particularly Ty Hayes, longtime listener, love the show, Round the Table Sports, everybody like that. How do you think Hugh Freeze and company are feeling right now? I think it's a question.
Hugh Freeze loving it right now.
To hear what you have to say about the Auburn faithful.
Well, the hard part is Hugh Freeze is probably in his Rolodex looking for numbers to call, but they're not filled with football coaches or football
They're
players'
recruits.
numbers. No, they're not filled with recruits' numbers. They're filled with they could be recruits. It depends how we qualify them, right? He's certainly recruiting, not football players, but if that's neither here nor there.
You wrong for that one.
No, he is. I can't be wrong if it's already happened.
It's already happened. Hey, man, people can change, man. People change. Probably not for Hugh Freeze. All right, look, man. Brian Weber had a good comment here. He says, "I can see Bama pulling an NFL head coach again, like they did Saban." Only thing about this, Brian, is Saban was a previous winning college football coach, championship winning college football coach, that didn't really make it in the pros because he and his staff and general manager made the wrong decision about taking Dante Culpepper instead of Drew Brees. If Saban pulled,
the stupid medical staff didn't set that Drew Brees' shoulder. I hate them. They ruined college football.
If Saban gets Drew Brees, Miami is just as good as what the Saints have been when they had Brees, man. But
can you imagine Ricky Williams and Drew Brees?
Oh my God! Don't even tell. I don't want to hear about it. Stop it. Stop it. That's filthy. That's filthy. Damn, Drew Brees and Ricky Williams in Miami.
They rolled. Do y'all know they rolled Toomer's corner tonight?
Oh, did they? Are you serious?
I'm not joking. They rolled Toomer's corner.
Have some respect, Auburn. Look, I know you guys hate them. Look, I hate OU with the rest of them. I absolutely hate Oklahoma with all the passion in my soul. But when Bob Stoops retired, man, you gotta pour a drink up to Bob Stoops. Yeah, one of the greatest coaches ever, man.
You gotta treat them. Yes.
Yeah,
OSU, we're looking at you with the stuff that y'all do. I told my uncle, I said, I don't never want to play OSU again. I'm glad they won. They may have burned a wagon or something in my front yard and told me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Have some respect out there, people. Auburn, we're looking at y'all.
Man, Drew, you over here buying like $5 Biggie Meals for all of us. I appreciate that, Drew. Appreciate that, Drew. $5. That's what I'm talking about. So because look, I said it before, history will write it Saban legacy as the greatest coach. Pre-NIL, pre-portal, pre-12-team playoff. It is what it is. Will never happen again. I agree with you, Drew. I agree with you. Man, this is probably this is a sad day for you, Ty.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Dude, my wife calls me and she's like, "Did you see this shit?" I was like, "What happened?" I didn't see the news yet. I was typing the paper. And she goes, "You haven't seen yet?" I'm like, "No." She goes, "Saban is retiring." I was like, "Nah, shut up." I was like, "Nah." And then I saw it. I was like, "Man, let me check on Ty." It is what it is, man. He's the greatest all time. He deserves all the respect, man. And it's gonna be a very interesting 2 days here to see who Alabama does target and hire. Whether it is a Dan Lanning, do they go after Steve Sarkisian? Do they go after Lane Kiffin? Is Dabo in play? Does the uppers want that? Will the players be in for that as well? They got to be gauging interest from these players too as well to see if they're going to stay too, because players know who they want to play for, right? So we'll see, man. We'll see. Oh man, what time is it, folks? We've been on for
Joe Klatt just dropped a list.
Oh, what do you say? What do you say?
Joe Klatt, no sources, just my thoughts. The list is 3 names. Number 3, DeBoer.
Okay, makes sense.
Number 2, Lanning.
Number 1, Sark.
Number 1, Sarkisian.
God damn.
No.
Well, because
hold on. Before we go,
AD knows him.
That. Let's talk about that. As me and Ty, our legal
we're not going to talk about that.
We love saying these words. Let's unpack that a little bit, okay? Let's stop right there. Let's unpack that, okay?
We've been going over an hour too. This has been good.
What happens?
Pulling up and joining us.
What happens if Sark leaves?
It's not happening, so I'm not worried about it.
I don't know.
Man, if Sark, hey, look, if Sark leaves Texas to go to Alabama, just hypothetically speaking, I don't know where Texas goes after this. I thought Sark was the perfect hire for that school.
Oh, Trailer.
DeBoer?
Jeff Trailer.
I can see Trailer, man.
I'm not.
Dude.
DeBoer, Jimbo Fisher.
No, that's 30.
I don't see DeBoer
Teasy.
leaving Washington.
PK? Promote
No.
PK?
No.
Mm-mm.
Gary
No.
Patterson.
No.
Gosh.
That's the guy. Local legend.
Dude, if Sark,
What about Fish
Fish would be
out
a
of
good hire.
Arizona?
I like him.
But does he have Texas ties? Like in the recruiting
Look,
area?
no, I don't. It's not happening. So first off, let's not even talk about it. But
Matt Rule.
no, he's in
Scott
Nebraska.
Frost.
Shut
Frosty
up.
baby.
Pete
Oh
Golding.
man,
Yeah,
I
Pete Golding.
hell no.
Just trolling this man.
Stop it. Hey, Saban retired, not Sark leaving. Let's not talk about damn Sark leaving.
Hey, y'all can go get Prime. Must be the money.
This is the crazy part, though. Look
There
here.
you go.
Brian Weber says it. Sark is the star student of the Saban Coaching Rehab Center.
That's true.
And so, and Todd can probably back me up on this. When Sark got the offer from Texas, I heard Alabama increased what they were going to pay Sark to keep him there. Is
Yeah.
that true?
Well, they were definitely trying to keep him there, but Nick Saban, he does a little interview with any coach, and he tells them head coaching opportunities don't come around every day. Not at universities like Texas.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, they fought to keep Sark. They wanted to keep Sark, but
they
he
gave
was
him a dose of
also
realism. Yeah.
told the realistic situation of you might stay another 3 years and another job might open up, but it might not be the Texas Longhorns that can pay you, that can literally put a blank check in front of you and say, there you go. That's
And
tough.
So John Sam says Bama has contacted Dan Lanning, Eric Bieniemy, and Dabo Swinney tonight. Really? Come on, John. Where are you getting this from?
Kiffin?
But honestly, if I'm an Alabama fan, I would want Sarkisian to come back to Alabama.
What sucks is that Nick Saban is about to be the biggest, dirtiest bagman for Alabama in college football history. That dude's about to go in there and bread up all these players, dog.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you his car dealerships. He owns
Right.
like what is it, 8 Mercedes dealerships?
Yes.
and he just got his second Ferrari dealership. Yeah, that guy's got some. He's made some very smart investments.
That's
Came
what
from
happens when
working
you-
at that gas station in West Virginia with his daddy, and now he owns all these car dealerships.
That's what happens when you make 30. Well, how much you make a year? 12, 13 million a year?
A healthy amount.
He been doing this shit for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus his endorsements. You know what I'm saying?
He is paid.
And it's pretty damn good when your boosters pay off your house note, for about $2 million to keep you there.
True.
I ain't hating, bro. Go ahead and do your thing, Nick Saban. I ain't
It's
hating.
called allowances, please. I'm gonna
It's got allowances.
praise these things. It's called allowances.
Oh man. Let's see.
Lance Leipold.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
I actually
no,
like him as a coach, though.
but just like
He's
you
not
said
ready.
earlier, he's not good enough to replace Saban at Alabama.
I'm not going to lie. I already had the no, locked and loaded and ready to go because I thought you were going to say something about Auburn. So I was defensive.
Oh,
And I processed the Lance Leipold afterwards. I don't hate that, actually. I think he's a hell of a coach, but
Yeah.
I do agree. I just don't think – I think going from Kansas to Bama is
I'm just gonna
Dorothy, we're not in Kansas anymore.
y'all just stop me when y'all ready to get up off of here. But I'm just gonna throw out some names: Dave Aranda,
No.
Zen
Def-
Master. Okay, never mind.
No, DC. He'd be a
James
DC.
Franklin.
No,
SEC
hell no.
experience,
Hell no.
Had Vanderbilt going.
Nope.
Okay, all right.
I mean, he's probably in the middle of the pack on the odds from the odds makers, but no, James Franklin's not realistic to go to Alabama.
No. I'm just gonna say no.
Yeah, I don't. Corey from the top row, Lou Holtz. Let's get it ready to go, baby.
Hey, Paxton says Sark getting the extension as well as 8 to 12 other coaches tomorrow morning.
True.
What about Kleiman?
No.
Good coach, but no. I think that it would be as good of a coach as he is. I don't think that the fan base would be satisfied with that hire.
So Ty, what if they offer Dan Lanning and he tells them no, and they go to Sark and he tells them no? Who do you guys go hire?
Kellen DeBoer.
And what if he tells you no?
Well, then we're just shit out of luck. Kiffin is there as well. Don't get me wrong. Kiffin is there, but
because I'm looking at this like when Texas fired Brown, right? I think Charlie Strong was like their fourth option, right? Like it wasn't an easy fill. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be, I think, even a harder field at Alabama because I don't know how many people are going to want to replace Nick Saban. It's a lot of pressure, man. That's a lot of pressure.
And y'all haven't said anything about Mike Norvell.
You know what, Ty? Norvell would not be he wouldn't be a bad hire. His defense is stellar.
I wouldn't be mad with Norvell, but he would not be my first or second choice.
Yeah, man, he can recruit.
But he'd be a good coach. He does great work in the transfer portal.
Yeah, he can recruit too. He recruits well. He has a good defense. His offense is fun if he has the right quarterback.
His offense is Madden. It's 4 verticals.
Dude, oh man.
That's what they ran all year. That's why their offense was like feast or famine. And Jay, I told you this at the midpoint of the year. Remember this? I said Florida State's offense is like watching someone play Madden. It's just 4 verticals. No. Every single play.
Which fits Jalen Milroe perfectly.
Yes. But
the only thing that that offense pissed me off because it was really boom or bust because if you could cover up those wide receivers, you didn't have to worry about what they were doing coming out of their breaks or anything. All you had to do was just worry about making sure that Jordan Travis wasn't back there running around and breaking the play off. Because after that, it was kind of just backyard football. He's just finding whoever's open in space. And a lot of teams were trying to run zone against them, and it was just like run to a spot, stop here. If not, go to this other spot. You'll be open there. I mean, it was frustrating. Trust me.
Yeah.
But the Boer, I don't know. Ty, do you really want to come off of having a really good coach like this and going and messing with them Washington boys again? Y'all did that once, and they got y'all in trouble before y'all got Sabin, right? Because y'all went and got that coach from Washington State.
The coach from Washington State.
Wasn't it like Mark Price or whatever?
Yeah.
Ooh, hold on now. Hey, Ty, what you think about Marcus Freeman?
He's a good coach. He's a really good coach. I think
he's feel Bama material to me.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a tough one.
I don't know. The one thing I do like about Marcus Freeman, I don't know, man.
He's Ohio State in the waiting. And that's me.
Yeah, that's true because he played at Ohio State.
Yeah,
he's
I think I think he would be perfect for that job. If Ryan Day ever left, unless they just thought that they had something sitting there with Heartline, Marcus Freeman would be the guy for that Ohio State job. And I think Marcus Freeman would go crazy not having those crazy ass restrictions as far as the grades and everything and stuff.
Yeah,
at Notre Dame. I think he'd go crazy in recruiting.
It's gonna be interesting, man. Oh my God! Look at this. Greg says co-head coaches Kiffin and Sark.
Could you imagine that?
I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting. Look, man, this is what makes college football fun. It's sad to see Saban go, but it's also, it's like seeing like a kid born. You're going to see somebody had to step into their own here in about 2 days, right? And it's going to be hitting the ground running from the day they get hired until they pass out, die, or go somewhere else because there's no better job. Right now, you're stepping into the perfect situation that has all the talent, on the team. And man, it's an awesome opportunity for some coach. So Drew says, thanks, Drew, for the $2 again. He goes, is Sark the only guy that Bama fans are satisfied with?
No, there are more.
Yeah.
Dan Lanning would be my number one.
And I told all my family, like over the holidays, if Bama, if Saban was to retire, Dan Lanning's you guys' next coach. I like that would be like that's the perfect marriage to me. Pete Carroll, get out of here.
Don't get me wrong, Drew. Don't get me wrong. Sark is one of a few that would be like a great hire for Bama, no doubt about that. But he is not the only guy.
No.
Dan Lanning, Steve Sarkisian, people like that.
Yeah. So look, I just saw a tweet, from my boy Travis. He said, clearly money isn't an issue. Sark's buyout is only $5 million. The question is, does Sark want to leave? So,
$5 million?
That's
it.
The
buyout?
Because I think this is next year. It's the last year of his contract. So it's probably the last piece of his guaranteed money.
Sark, do the smart thing, man. Everybody leaving Texas right now, man.
Who leaving Texas?
Huh?
Who leaving Texas?
Well, I just lost all that production. Well, don't talk to me. Child, please.
Man, I ain't trying to hear that, man. We got look here, dog.
That's a conversation for another day. Child, please.
No, man. Hey, man, we good. We good. We good.
I love it. I love the mask right now with tears behind it.
If Quinn leaves, if Quinn leaves, we gotta have an emergency pod for Nick so we can give him a good hug. You know what I'm I'm here for that. I'm just waiting for it.
He ain't leaving. What he gonna do?
Huh?
He got to graduate first, don't he? He can't leave yet. He got to sit out a year. Quinn ain't going nowhere, man.
Just say it, man. So before we end this, Ty, are you okay, man?
Yeah, man.
I'm good, man. I'm good. All good things must come to an end.
It's gonna be interesting, man. All right, man. But look, it's been an hour and 32 minutes, man. Folks, hey, go like this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Means a lot. Helps the channels grow a lot. But yeah, it's been an hour and 30 minutes, and we are out. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Same time.
Possibly. We'll see same bad time, same bad channel.
Probably talking about who the new Alabama coach is. And, hopefully I'm not sad. So, there we go.
I hope you are.
Hell no. We out of here. Horns up. Hook 'em. Deuces.
Boom.